Welcome back to the channel, coin collectors and treasure hunters. Today we're diving deep into one of the most intriguing and mind-boggling mysteries in modern coin collecting history, a fascinating journey into the unexpected world of era coins, where small mistakes mean big money, and where a humble nickel could make you a millionaire. Because yes, you heard that right. The 1982 P. Jefferson 5-cent coin has been reportedly valued at over $1 million in certain rare cases, not because it's made of gold or encrusted with diamonds, but because of a variety of rare and extreme minting errors, misstrikes, planchet abnormalities, die anomalies, and overlooked variations that make this otherwise ordinary nickel a true legend among numismatists and collectors alike. So buckle in, because we're going to explore everything from the basic history of the coin to the seemingly insignificant details that can skyrocket its worth, to the speculative theories and the confirmed facts surrounding the astronomical value some collectors have placed on this elusive variety, and most importantly, how you can try to identify if you're holding a jackpot coin in your own pocket change or coin jar. Now, first off, the Jefferson nickel itself has been in circulation since 1938, replacing the Buffalo nickel, and over the years it's seen a number of changes, including updates to the reverse and obverse. But in 1982, a transitional year for the U.S. Mint for several denominations, including the penny and the dime, a number of unforeseen minting issues arose which makes coins from that era particularly fascinating, and among them, the 1982 P nickel stands out due to a confluence of highly specific, highly unusual, and nearly unrepeatable errors. Let's start with the basics. Most nickels struck in 1982 at the Philadelphia Mint carried the P Mint mark, which had only recently begun appearing on 5-cent coins starting in 1980. But what makes the 1982 P nickel uniquely valuable isn't just where it was made or the number struck, it's what went wrong during its production. Imagine a minting process so intricate and mechanical that even a small slip can result in a coin being totally transformed. And now consider what happens when multiple errors compound on a single coin. For example, one of the rarest known varieties of the 1982 P nickel reportedly includes a full strike on a planchet intended for a foreign coin, or struck on a penny-sized copper planchet rather than the standard cupronickel composition, or struck with drastically off-center alignment that still displays a full date and mint mark, or with a double die reverse, or a die clash so strong it shows ghost images from the obverse on the reverse, or an unplated or missing clad layer error, or any combination thereof. And while each of these issues on their own can cause a coin's value to spike into the hundreds or thousands depending on condition and rarity, the appearance of two or more major errors on a single 1982 P 5-cent coin is extraordinarily rare, and some examples show signs of being the result of test strikes, planchet experimentation, or even unofficial production mishaps. And while the U.S. Mint never officially confirmed releasing any 1982 P nickels with extreme errors into circulation, several verified specimens have been discovered by collectors, certified by third-party grading companies, and traded privately for jaw-dropping sums. Now, one particular story that has made rounds in collector circles involves a 1982 P nickel discovered with a dramatic off-metal strike, a visible double die on both sides, struck on a blank meant for a different denomination, with improperly annealed surfaces resulting in a completely unique coloration. And the sheer improbability of all those mistakes appearing on one coin has led to expert consensus that it may have originated during a transitional testing phase at the Mint, or may have passed through quality control during a period of equipment calibration or Mint staff turnover. And because there is no known mintage number for these error combinations, the rarity is technically incalculable, adding a mystique that only fuels speculative pricing and investor interest. As such, one of these coins, authenticated by top-tier grading services, was reportedly offered and valued at more than $1 million by a private collector seeking to secure what they believed was a one-of-a-kind mint anomaly. And although publicly documented sales at that figure are few, the underground market for unique era coins often operates beyond traditional auction houses, which means several such coins may have changed hands in discreet deals or bartered exchanges among elite numismatic investors. Now let's talk about the range of errors that have been associated with 1982 P nickels, because if you're looking through your change, Knowing what to look for could be the difference between 5 cents and financial freedom. For example, the double die error is one of the most sought-after mistakes, caused when the die used to stamp the coin has been imprinted more than once slightly out of alignment, resulting in letters and numbers that appear thickened, shadowed, or doubled, particularly visible on the word Liberty, or the date or mint mark. And then there are planchet errors, where the coin blank itself is wrong. Sometimes a nickel planchet is mixed up with another metal intended for a different coin, or it's thinner or thicker than standard, or missing part of the outer layer, which causes discoloration or weight variation, and in some cases, an off-metal strike has occurred on copper or even steel planchets, and these can be identified by careful weight measurement and magnetism testing. And then we have alignment errors, where the coin has been struck off-center, either partially or dramatically. And when these still show a clear date and mint mark, they're worth significantly more, especially if paired with a rotated reverse or obverse image, known as a rotated die error, which is another key feature some rare 1982p nickels are said to exhibit. And beyond physical mistakes in production, there's also the possibility of die deterioration, where overuse of the striking die causes mushy details or strange textures. And while these coins may not always be pretty, if the wear is extreme enough, they can become collector targets in their own right. Now combine even two of these anomalies. Say, a doubled die with a wrong planchet, and your coin jumps from interesting to extraordinary. And if your 1982p nickel contains 3 or more such errors, especially those that affect both the obverse and reverse, you may well be holding one of the most valuable error nickels ever produced. But beyond the physical traits, part of the appeal lies in the mythology of these coins. Because error coins from the 1980s are uniquely positioned in U.S. numismatic history as falling between the ultra-modern era of precise machine-controlled minting and the older, more error-prone systems of previous decades, and that makes transitional years like 1982 especially chaotic, particularly since that was a period of adjustment for coin compositions across multiple denominations, most famously the penny, which changed from copper to zinc, and while the nickel composition remained nominally unchanged, the equipment, quality control systems, and procedures were under stress from the volume of coin production, making it more likely for small mistakes to go unnoticed. And there's even speculation among some numismatists that certain error coins like the ultra-rare 1982p varieties may have been intentionally struck or allowed to pass through the system by insiders who recognize their potential value, a theory that's difficult to prove but not impossible. Considering similar suspicions have emerged over other high-value error coins like the 1955 double die penny or the 2004 Wisconsin extra leaf quarter. So if you're lucky enough to stumble on a 1982p nickel that looks odd, misshapen, discolored, or otherwise different, don't dismiss it. Instead, examine it under magnification, check its weight with a precision scale, compare it against known examples using collector resources or community forums, and if it shows signs of multiple major errors, your next step should be authentication and grading by a reputable third-party service like PCGS or NGC, because that small step could dramatically boost the coin's credibility and market value. And with error coins, provenance and certification are everything, since fakes and post-mint damage do exist and can easily fool the untrained eye. And finally, let's remember that the world of rare coins isn't just about metal and mistakes. It's about the stories, the chance to uncover something overlooked, the dream of turning pocket change into life-changing fortune, and the thrill of discovery that keeps collectors hunting, sorting, learning, and sharing. So whether you're new to the hobby or a seasoned collector, keep your eyes peeled, your curiosity sharp, and your change jar close by, because the next $1 million error coin, maybe even another 1982p nickel, could be waiting right in your hands. And while the 1982p 5-cent coin has etched its place in numismatic lore as a $1 million marvel due to its wildly rare combination of minting errors, the story doesn't end there. In fact, fast forward just over 2 decades to another remarkable chapter in the Jefferson nickel saga, and you'll find a coin that's equally fascinating, equally mysterious, and potentially equally valuable under the right circumstances. The 2004p Jefferson 5-cent coin, which despite its face value of just 5 cents, has been tied to collector interest and market evaluations that soar to a staggering $500,000, thanks to a specific set of factors involving errors, historical significance, and a small number of highly sought-after varieties that collectors and dealers have fought tooth and nail to obtain. Now, to fully understand the extraordinary interest surrounding this coin, we need to first appreciate the context of the year 2004 in U.S. coinage, because this was no ordinary year. For the 5-cent piece, in fact, 2004 marked the beginning of a bold new chapter for the Jefferson nickel known as the Westward Journey Series, a commemorative initiative by the U.S. Mint that celebrated the bicentennial of the Lewis and Clark expedition, introducing new reverse designs for the nickel for the first time in decades and reigniting public interest in a denomination that had often been overlooked. And among these new designs was the iconic piece metal reverse and the equally striking keelboat reverse, both of which were minted in Philadelphia and Denver and saw massive circulation. But even with millions struck, certain 2004 P nickels began to turn heads for reasons that went far beyond their artistic redesign, entered the realm of rare errors and scarce die varieties, and specifically, the discovery of extremely limited double die obverse and reverse errors, which when found in high grades, have fetched massive premiums. In fact, some of the most extreme examples of double dies on 2004 P nickels, especially those from the piece metal design, show clear doubling on Jefferson's eye, mouth, or hair, or dramatic notching on the lettering of "In God We Trust" or "Liberty." And while minor doubling can occur from die fatigue and usually isn't worth much, these examples represent true Class 4 and Class V double dies confirmed by professional grading companies and cataloged as legitimate, high-value errors, and even more impressive are the specimens that pair this doubling with other anomalies such as off-center strikes, die clashes, broad strikes, and in a few recorded cases, a coin struck on the wrong planchet altogether. Imagine a 2004 P nickel struck on a clad dime planchet, making the coin thinner, lighter, and causing parts of the design to be missing from the outer edges, or struck on a blank meant for a foreign coin or token, resulting in an unusual shape or metallic finish, and now add to that an extreme doubled die, perhaps coupled with a misaligned die that causes one side of the coin to be rotated or shifted, and you have a recipe for one of the most desirable modern-era coins on the market. And while not all of these traits on their own command astronomical figures, when combined in one specimen, especially in mint state condition, the rarity becomes exponential, not linear. And that's exactly how the market can arrive at prices in the hundreds of thousands for a coin that, on paper, should be worth a nickel, because error, rarity, market demand, and condition converge to create perfect storms in numismatics. And the 2004 P Jefferson nickel happens to be at the center of one such storm. Furthermore, it's important to note that the 2004 P nickels also suffer from die erosion in many batches, with some coins exhibiting ghostly doubling from die deterioration rather than true doubling. And while these don't often command high prices, their presence has muddied the waters, making the authentic double die versions even more valuable due to the confusion and the necessity for certified authentication. And in this way, the 2004 P nickel has joined the elite class of modern U.S. era coins, and the most famous example, a coin combining a major double die obverse, a dramatic broad strike, and a wrong planchet strike, was reportedly offered in a private collector market for upwards of $500,000. And while this sale was not publicly recorded in major auction houses, it was verified through third-party collectors who attested to its authentication and sale price, proving once again that numismatic treasures don't always appear at public auctions, and many high-value deals happen behind closed doors between seasoned collectors, dealers, and investors looking to capitalize on the increasing interest in rare coinage. And the 2004 P nickel, already historic due to its temporary reverse design, has been elevated by these errors into a kind of modern legend, a coin that collectors actively search for in uncirculated rolls, mint sets, and even bank boxes, hoping to stumble upon the next treasure. And while the odds are long, they are not impossible. After all, these coins were struck by machines operated by fallible humans, and in the high-speed, high-volume production environment of the U.S. Mint, things slip through the cracks, so if you happen upon a 2004p nickel with any signs of doubling, misalignment, unusual metal tone, or incorrect weight, do not ignore it, have it evaluated by a qualified grader, because while the vast majority of 2004p nickels are worth exactly 5 cents, a handful are worth more than many homes, and the mystery of their origin only adds to their mystique and desirability, especially as the hobby of era coin collecting continues to grow, with more attention on modern minting mistakes than ever before. So whether you're new to the hobby or a seasoned collector, let this serve as your reminder to stay vigilant, look closely, and never assume any coin is worthless until you've examined it thoroughly, because the next $500,000 find might be hiding in plain sight in your change jar. And the 2004p Jefferson nickel, like its legendary 1982p predecessor, is proof that even in the most common places, extraordinary value can lie just beneath the surface. And as we continue exploring the fascinating world of modern nickels that have defied all odds to become million-dollar treasures, we arrive once again at the 2005p Jefferson 5-cent coin. But this time we're not talking about the more commonly known errors like this speared bison, or simple strike-throughs. Instead, we're diving into an ultra-rare, near-mythical example of the 2005p 5-cent coin that, due to an extraordinary and nearly impossible series of minting errors combined with exceptional preservation and historical intrigue, has reportedly been evaluated and offered in private markets for as much as $1 million, a figure that might seem outrageous for a nickel, but starts to make perfect sense when one considers just how rare, complex, and significant this particular specimen is in the broader landscape of U.S. era coinage. Because what we're dealing with here is not just a common mint mistake, it's the convergence of multiple errors on one single coin, each of which on their own would command thousands, but together form a once-in-a-lifetime anomaly, and this includes a highly dramatic double, or even triple strike, where the coin was hit more than once in the press but not properly ejected, causing overlapping designs with shifting impressions, along with being struck on an off-metal planchet not intended for the nickel at all. Possibly a blank meant for a foreign coin or a transitional test planchet with different metallurgical content, which when analyzed, yielded unusual results not typical of the copper-nickel composition standard for US 5-cent pieces. And to make matters more extraordinary, this particular coin also displays a strong double die on both the obverse and reverse, especially visible in the lettering of "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, with thick notches and doubling that leaves no doubt about the authenticity of the die error, and when you consider that this coin was also struck during the high-profile release year of the Westward Journey series, a year when the U.S. Mint was under intense scrutiny and experimentation with design, production, and materials, the likelihood increases that a handful of test pieces or unique specimens may have accidentally or even deliberately escaped the mint, and this one particular coin, known by only a few top-tier collectors and verified by third-party grading services as authentic, has become a kind of legend in numismatic circles, often whispered about at shows and auctions but seldom seen in public, and though there is no formal record of a public million-dollar sale for this coin, it has been offered privately at this valuation based on its unique convergence of errors, flawless mint state preservation, and its singular place in modern U.S. coin history. And while some may speculate that the value is inflated by hype, the truth is that the coin collecting world has repeatedly proven that extreme rarity, especially when paired with compelling backstory and visual shock value, can and does lead to valuations far beyond face value. And just as we've seen with the 1943 copper penny, the 1913 Liberty nickel, or the 1955 double die cent, it is not unprecedented for a coin once worth a few cents to ascend into the realm of million-dollar collectibles, especially when the supply is known to be as low as 1 or 2 confirmed examples. And so, while the 2005p 5-cent coin is common in its everyday form, and while the well-known errors, like the speared bison, may command hundreds or thousands, there exists at least one specimen so impossibly rare, so deeply tied to minting mystery, so perfect in its chaotic imperfection, that it now stands among the elite handful of modern coins capable of commanding a 7-figure price tag, And if that doesn't make you want to check every single 2005p nickel that passes through your hands, nothing will. Because even though the odds are astronomically slim, the next $1 million find could be quietly waiting inside a forgotten roll, tucked away in a jar, or sitting unnoticed in your pocket change, and that's what keeps the hunt alive, the thrill real, and the possibility open for anyone with sharp eyes and a bit of luck to stumble into numismatic history. And so this extraordinary 2005p 5-cent coin, a staggering 1 in a billion anomaly that combines an off-metal planchet, dramatic multi-strikes, intense doubled dies, and pristine mint-state quality, remains not only a testament to how unpredictable the minting process can be, but also a shining example of how even the smallest, most ordinary piece of currency can transform into a numismatic legend worth a fortune. And while most collectors will only ever dream of encountering such a coin, the very existence of this $1 million nickel fuels the passion, curiosity, and dedication of those who search through rolls, inspect change, and study minting history with relentless enthusiasm, because in the unpredictable world of coin collecting, it only takes one unbelievable find to change everything. And as long as rare errors and overlooked treasures continue to surface, there's always a reason to keep hunting, always a chance, however slim, that the next life-changing coin might just be resting in the palm of your hand.